it is huge. Can we just talk about it? Is a massive document full of adversaries and environments for your games of Daggerheart, focusing
80 pages.
80 pages. It's wild. And I don't know, probably 100, around 100 adversaries at a glance. I'm looking at the table of contents right now. It is focused on beasts, animals, monsters, giant hippos, for example, to throw into your games. As I was speaking
Things with fangs.
Things with fangs. As I was talking last episode, great if you've got an angry druid who wants to do an environmental thing about destroying data centers that are ruining all the water. It's got all of its felons, which is a bunch of criminals, ranging from like your standard like footpads stealing stuff from people, all the way up to shadow council members who are running the evil things behind the scenes. So, you know, the billionaires building the data centers that Nico likes to run at the start of his adventures with a bunch of that they like to run at the start of their adventures. With you know, stabbing people in the back with weird cults.
Yeah, I you know, weird cults are fun. It's just, I mean, weird cults are fun. Yeah, one of the things I want to say is it's not just adversaries to fight against. They have each chapter is split into different tiers, right? They have tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each chapter is split up into a section that is a bunch of environments of that tier, and then a section that's a bunch of beasts of that tier. And when I say beasts too, it's not necessarily like just a kind of bear or something. Basilisks are in this. I'm looking at it right now. Basilisks. We have shadow wolves. I haven't even looked at that. That one looks cool. Then there's cockatrices. So there's even like fantasy beasts, you know? And then also, I do like that they have just a little bit of everything for every level. And another thing I really, really enjoy, I'm the kind of person who wants to know the creator a little bit and get to know where they're coming from when they made certain design choices. So I read through the introduction, and I love that one of the very first things they do in their intro, first paragraph, is shout out other third-party products in the community, including Menagerie of Mayhem, which we covered last week, including, they mention Wondrous Environments by our own Welsh DM, Gethin Pierce. But also, you know, they describe how it was they imagined people incorporating their product into their games. They also made it a really good point to... they actually have a whole section where they're talking about the visuals, and I really, really enjoyed that.
I wanted to talk about this.
Not only... Yeah, if you want to talk about it, I'll hand it to you.
I was scrolling through this book, and it's been a big thing I've talked about a lot in the indie design space, where people often talk about the lack of art in the world, right? The ability to get cool art for their book. The choice that these guys made for this book to use essentially open source museum art to fill in the space and bring their works to life, genuinely, is a perfect encapsulation of stuff I've been saying for a long time in the design space of like, there's art out there for you to use. But also the way that they lined it up with what they were doing, and they saw the opportunity and went, we can just do creatures. And then it invokes this imagery that I absolutely love of bringing them into the game, that it feels, that era of drawing just feels slightly off reality. You know what I mean? It's like, I recognize it. It's definitely an elephant, but something's wrong about it that just makes it quintessentially fantasy.
It's like, because a lot of it is from that era where people were drawing elephants or animals that they'd never actually seen before based off of descriptions that were written or things that people told them, right? So they kind of had an idea that it was this thing with big ears, but they didn't exactly know. But yeah, right out of the book, it's like they said that the visual consistency of their art was really, really important, that they envisioned this book to be like someone's field guide. You know, they're out on the field and they see all these like illustrations of the creatures that they're coming across. They also said exactly where they took a lot of their art from. That's got oldbookillustrations.com, public domain art that they used, Biodiversity Heritage Library, Wikimedia Commons, and pretty much any other source that they had at their disposal. But that's why I really, really liked it. I mean, it in and of itself is proof that you don't need AI art to fill your book with art. They found a way around it, and it wasn't just random art. It was art that specifically matched an aesthetic that they were gunning for, and that is very, very, very cool to me. But as a generality, there were some other quick points that I want to make sure I don't forget, which is people may or may not know who Right Knight to Fight is. If you don't know who they are, please check them out on their Ko-Fi. They're also known as Chris Davidson, one of the co-authors of Incredible Creatures, but they were one of the people who, they were one of the original writers of the adversary section of Daggerheart's core rulebook.
Right.
So if you see something that has Right Knight to Fight on it or Chris Davidson, that is somebody who, like, they're not just a random person making adversaries, similar to Mike Underwood or even Carlos Cisco. These are people who are creating third-party content, but actually worked on the game themselves, so they know what they're doing. But anyway, there's this incredible guide, and they specifically made it a point to tell me that they used this, so I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. The reason I'm bringing up Right Knight to Fight is because they wanted to make it a point that they did draw from them, and there's a whole section, by the way, on how to scale your adversaries.
I love that section.
Which is awesome. So there's a guide by Right Knight to Fight's Guide to Making Custom Adversaries. And it's a Google Doc that's out there. They update it every now and then. But it's what they used as the basis for figuring out the numbers for balancing certain adversaries, as well as how they wrote that scaling the adversary section. It was from Right Knight to Fight's models and guidance and stuff. So again, I love that they were like, oh, we want to make sure we give credit to the people who helped make this possible. So besides listing, hey, here's all the art, like where we got all of our art from, they're like, we want you to know where we developed it, because we didn't invent that ourselves. And I think that that's really cool. And they said, though, that the reason they still have that section in their book, even though you can find it elsewhere, is they want people to not have to sort through multiple tabs of PDFs and stuff or books all at the same time, which I recently found out they're leaving the price tag at this early release PDF price because they're looking into print on demand.
We're also looking to it with Wondrous Environments, but it's such a headache. I'm going to just go message these and go, hey, once you figured it out, can you let me know? Because you're far more clued in. Yeah, their book is incredible.
Oh, by the way, one last thing. This is not something they asked me to mention. This is, I mean, maybe they did and I forgot, but this is just genuinely something I thought was cool, is aside from the PDF of their book, when you get their thing, it comes with additional PDFs, or an additional PDF that's like just the stat blocks. None of the flavor text, none of the other stuff, just the stat blocks, so you can rip them out or take screenshots and put them on your own little pure ref card. And they also separately, for every Fang and Felon in this book, they made VTT tokens for.
That's cool. That's incredible.
That's a lot of work. They put a lot into this 80, and it's, again, 80 pages, like 100 or something more adversaries, you know? Yeah. The fact that they went through the trouble of making individual tokens pre-made, that's crazy.
The last thing I want to add in terms of content in the book that I'm a particular fan of, speaking as someone who did Wondrous Environments and had a huge love for environments, the when to use call-out box on the environments to just clue a GM as to, like, where is a good opportunity to use this environment in an interesting way. Chef's kiss. No notes. Great idea.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic.
Do more of it.
It's fantastic. And they made it really good. I mean, you know, they did a really good job, too, of making their abilities and actions and everything here not be just, like, overwhelmingly too much, you know? And I really do like that. I'm sometimes reading the stat blocks as I'm running them in the middle of the fight, and so I'm a little like, oh, good God, I can't intake all of this text and stuff. But I really enjoyed the fact that they have just easy to boop, there it is. That's what it does. I understand now. I read the whole, you know, one line in a single go or 3 lines in a single go. And that also, this is me because I'm lame and I like to play like I'm an old man. I love printing out stat blocks.
I'm a big fan of it too.
And the stat blocks that they have that you can make screenshots of or print out on a Google Doc, they have not only the HP 9 thing written so you know how much HP it has, it's also got little HP colon and then little squares you can check off. And I'm like, this is great.
Stuff that stuff that I've been doing in pencil on my notebook ever since I started GMing, and they've just gone, how about we just put it on the stat block? I'm like, yes, do that. Anyway, I think we at this point have marked off our last hit point for this podcast. That was a smooth segue. I'm proud of that.
Get better.
To all of you listening, thank you for listening, first of all. Don't forget to like, stars, reviews, whatever it is, wherever you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever it'll be. Review helps other people find the podcast. And if there's any myths about Daggerheart that you've run across that you want dispelled or that you can dispel yourselves, drop it in the comments below to let other people know what those myths are and how the game actually supports, and whether there's any other community spotlights that we should bring to the attention of the Daggerheart community, because we want to continue to shout out people. So drop those in the comments below and we will reply to you as best we can. With all that said, Nico, let people know where they can find you if they want more of your sultry voice and good looks.
Thank you. I am on YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok. I'm also on OnlyFans, where I run a charity burlesque TTRPG stream. That TTRPG is, in fact, Daggerheart now. And I'm currently in pre-production for that stream. I'll probably, as I get further along with that, give more and more away in these outros. But anyway, if you don't want to look up all my individual handles or do the legwork yourself, my Linktree. Linktree.com/it's Nico de Gallo, which is the same as my handle on most things. ITSNICODEGALLO. You can find me and everywhere that I am on my Linktree. Gethin.
You can find me everywhere on all of the aforementioned social media sites at the Welsh DM, because amazingly no one had taken that by the point I turned up in the space, and I've done my best to claim it everywhere. So really easy to find. You can also find me on the Dragons Library, the welshdm.wordpress.com, where every week you can pick up a free new magic item or domain spell card for Daggerheart as well. All I ask of you in reply is to let me know how cool it was when your players started using it, because that is fun for me. Go check those out. I always love hearing what people think about them. And we will be back for another episode of Dagger Heart to Heart to have another heart to heart another time. But until we get to there, see you later.
Bye, everybody.